Good morning and welcome to the Sunday service. This morning we are going to practice a little bit a loving kind of meditation. After the meditation, Reverend Kashanti is going to give a Dhamma talk. After the Dhamma talk, question and answer, and the last item is chanting. Right now, Chandasara is going to lead the Metta meditation.
Morning to everyone. Now let us breathe in and breathe out gently to prepare our mind and body for the loving kindness meditation. Now it's time to spread loving kindness thoughts to all the living beings in this way. May all the living beings be physically well. May all the living beings be free from incoming danger. May all the living beings be mentally well. Let's continue these positive thoughts until we hear the bell sound.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Reverend Chansara, leading the metta meditation. Now it's time for the Dhamma talk. Today our speaker is Reverend Kashanti. Kashanti, you can start your Dhamma talk right now.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Shanti. Good morning. Let's talk about Vimalakirti. Vimalakirti doesn't get as much credit as he should. He was contemporaneous with Buddha and was considered second to only Buddha in his knowledge of the Dharma. And he's not venerated, there are no temples. So what we have of him, besides the historic record, and apparently there is a historic record, he was a real person, we have his sutra, the teachings of Vimalakirti. And as a person, as a man, he was a fairly elderly, rich man in Vaishali, and his mission was to teach the Dharma to whoever would listen, and to teach it wherever they may be found. So he would go to a bar, he would go to a brothel, he would go wherever it was necessary for him to teach the Dharma, and he taught using skillful means. He taught not from class notes, not from set pieces, but he taught according to what the people were able to assimilate and to incorporate. He felt the Dharma was living, let me read something from the sutra. Noble sirs, the flowers like the lotus, the water lily, the moon lily do not grow on dry ground in the desert. They grow in the swamps in mud. In the same way, the Buddha qualities do not grow in living beings who are already awakened, but in those living beings that are like swamps and mud of negative emotions. In a similar way, a seed does not grow in the sky, but on the earth. So the Buddha qualities do not grow in those who are already saints, but in those who seek awakening after having built a mountain of egoistic views as high as Mount Sumeru. Noble sir, by the same token, one can understand that the family of the Tathagatas include all our passions. For example, noble sir, without going into the great ocean, it is impossible to find precious, priceless pearls. Likewise, without getting into the ocean of passions, one cannot reach the mind of pure knowing. So he went to the people who had the mountain of misdeeds, misunderstandings, in order to teach the Dharma. Now, the sutra is one of the oddest ones I've ever read. When we were doing our monks training, we had to read sutras, and after the Diamond Sutra, after the Lotus Sutra, to come upon this was quite a surprise. It's not like any I've ever read. It's got humor, it's got sarcasm, it's got magic. It doesn't make a lot of immediate sense. In fact, you just have to read it. You just have to go through it, lay back and hear the words you may not understand, but you get the gist. And that is the important part. It's not doctrine, it's feeling your way through it, which is, I think, what his message may have been. So we start in the garden of Amrapali. Amrapali was a beautiful, famous, rich courtesan. And the Buddha was there and he was teaching. Her story is kind of interesting. She was not only beautiful, but very thoughtful. She was concerned about the human condition. And at some point came to the Buddha and asked if she could become a disciple. And he agreed. So she gave him the garden and her possessions and followed the Buddha. So on this day, he's teaching. And this is where it gets weird. 500 young princes come with jeweled parasols, and they lay the parasols at his feet. And he picks them up and opens them, and a great canopy, a jeweled canopy, covers the entire universe. And now we've entered the world of magic. Nothing is as it seems. Nothing is going to go the way it seems. The numbers become astronomical. He talks about the Buddha lands, and there are 1,000 Buddha lands in a small universe, and 1,000 small universes in a middle universe, and 1,000 middle universes in the grand universe. You're talking about 1 billion universes. And this is long before they had the Hubble telescope. And so the Buddha worlds, the Buddha fields are created, and then we live in the Buddha world. We lived or live in the Saha world. There are others, and some which people like the Pure Land, which is the world of Amitabha. And people's practice is to just recite the name Amitabha continuously in the hope that they'll be reborn in the world of the Pure Land, where the obstacles are not there. You can learn the Dharma, you can experience the Dharma, you can continue your path toward nirvana and the ending of rebirth. Our world, Saha, has the obstacle of suffering, and that's what the Buddha's efforts were, to end our suffering. And because now we're into the world of magic, we're also out of historic context. History kind of solidifies. It puts down in concrete terms what something was, what something meant. And the Dharma is not like that. The Dharma is something that, while you study the particulars, that's not so much. It's not the finger, it's the moon. You want to feel your way through it with action. And so we take it out of the real world, and the Buddha becomes the Dharmakaya, the spiritual Dharma that he comes to the earth in the Nirmanakaya, his body, to teach. But it's now more universal. And so the rest of this sutra deals with that kind of expansive vision. So word comes to the Buddha that Vimalakirti is ill. And so by custom, someone has to go and inquire about his health, the state of his health. And so the Buddha turns to his disciples and says, well, if someone has to go, would you go? And they say, no, I can't. I met him, and we talked Dharma, and he corrected my mistakes. And I can't put myself through that again. Shariputra has one. Again, I'll read. His excuse. I do not want to ask Vimalakirti about his health. Why? I remember one day I was sitting under the tree in the forest, absorbed in contemplation, when Vimalakirti came to the tree and declared, Shariputra, you should not be absorbed in contemplation like this. You should absorb yourself in zazen in such a way that neither body nor mind appears anywhere in the three worlds, in such a way that you are completely an ordinary person without letting go of stillness. You should do so in such a way that you perform your day-to-day activities without losing awareness, in such a way that you can be an ordinary person without letting go of your spiritual development. You should practice in such a way that the mind neither settles within nor moves toward outer things, in such a way that you can do whatever is necessary without becoming attached to anything in particular, in such a way that you are liberated without giving up the passions that are the province of the world. So they go through this, and I should say before that, the Buddha talks about the creation of the Buddha field or the Buddha land. And there's another section, I'm going to read another one, where Vimalakirti describes this. The body of the Tathagata is the Dharmakaya born of knowing. The body of the Tathagata is born of the stores of merit and wisdom. It is born in discipline, of practice, of prajna, of awakening, and of the perfection of awakening. It is born of love and compassion, joy and impartiality. It is born of charity, perseverance, and self-control. It is born of gentleness and patience. It is born of the roots of virtue planted by constant effort. It is born of concentration, insight, meditation, and absorption. It is born of learning, wisdom, and the ways of liberation. It is born of truth. It is born of reality. It is born of pure awareness. Friends, the body of the Tathagata is born of innumerable good works. You should turn your aspiration towards such a body, and in order to eliminate the sickness of the passions of all living beings, you should arouse the wish for unexcelled, perfect enlightenment. And that is what creates the Buddha field that a bodhisattva creates, and people aspire to be a part of. So, okay, so he's asked that they go, and they don't want to go. And finally, Manjushri says, okay, I'll go and I'll inquire about his health. Because Manjushri knows everything, and he is not afraid of being one-upped by Vimalakirti, he thinks. And the word goes out that Manjushri is going to go to Vimalakirti. So suddenly 32,000 followers, bodhisattvas, Buddhas, arahats, follow Manjushri to the home of Vimalakirti. 32,000. And so how is this going to happen? And magically the house expands and can fit them all. And then Shariputra is kind of the straight man in this sutra. Shariputra says, well, where are they all going to sit? And Vimalakirti says, are you concerned about chairs when you should be concerned about the Dharma? And suddenly chairs appear. A chair is appropriate to the size of the bodhisattvas and Buddhas. And some of them are quite big. And so they begin a Dharma duel, or about to begin a Dharma duel, where again Shariputra says, well, how are they going to be fed? You know, these are a lot of people, and Vimalakirti says, don't worry. And he contemplates and calls upon a bodhisattva from far who brings ambrosia, and everyone is filled and satisfied. One thinks of the fishes and loaves of Christ. So they can begin the discussion of non-duality. And that's one of the main points of the sutra, both the bodhisattva ideal and the concept of non-duality. And I guess I was intrigued by this or enjoyed this, because the Heart Sutra summarizes this, no wisdom and no attainment with nothing to attain. And this sutra goes into that, goes into an explanation, if possible, of that concept and what it ends up being after everybody's knowledge and ignorance, this and that, either or. Manjushri says finally to Vimalakirti, well, what is non-duality? And Vimalakirti sits in silence. And this is the answer. It is Vimalakirti's thunderous silence. It's like the major point. You can't explain because use words, and words are choices, and it's an either or situation. And non-duality is not that. There is no object in non-duality. There is no attachment or rejection. It is. And to come to that realization is a way of then going into the world. You don't have attachments. At one point, a goddess descends. She's apparently living in some room in Vimalakirti's home. She descends and tosses flower petals over the assembled. And some stick to disciples and some just slide off. And the sticking is our stickiness, the people who have preconceptions, who have opinions, presumptions. And the bodhisattvas who've gone beyond that don't have those. So nothing sticks to them. They're here, they're interacting with us, but they don't have the attachments which take us in areas we did not wish to go. So we've done the history, the attachments, skillful means, non-duality. It basically comes down to this. I mean, basically that because we don't make presumptions, because we accept as is, we can just get on in the world. It's everyday mind. It's what Bankei said, the unborn Buddha mind. It's what was before I. And that's the practice we lead to. And the practice in our practice, we need to get rid of our attachments to things, our attachments to fixed ideas, our attachment to forms that we seem appropriate for our practice. Our attachments to sensual pleasures, the desiring of this because it tastes so good, or this feels so good when it tastes what it tastes like and it feels like it feels like. And after the moment of silence, they go back to the Buddha, and Vimalakirti puts his hand up, and these thousands and thousands of people come to fit in his hand, and he goes back to the Buddha. And the rest of the other 4 chapters, or 14 chapters in the sutra, are how to how to keep this teaching alive, to remember it, to spread it. Now, the Mahayana Sutras, apparently because the world wasn't ready for them, the Nagas take them. They're like little dragons, and they kept in a cave, and then they are brought out when we're ready. That's one theory. The other theory is that this was an oral tradition from the time of Buddha to about the 1st century of the Christian era, when it was written down, and in Sanskrit. That was lost. There were translations into Chinese and the like. And apparently in 1999, it was discovered in the original Sanskrit form in a cave at a monastery. And we have that now. What I was reading was from Robert Thurman's translation of it. So the teaching is there for us if we wish to go there. And it really is, it comes down to simple things. Nagarjuna, who kind of explained more the concept of the Mahayana, the Madhyamaka philosophies, and non-duality, he said, well, non-duality is not two. So it comes down to those kind of funny things that summarize it. And there was a perfect summary on Facebook. Not perfect. It was, wasn't Buddhist. But I thought, well, after I read it, I really don't need to give my Dharma talk. When I start thinking, this was posted by a friend on Facebook. When I start thinking about the nature of reality and realize that every philosophical or religious paradigm is just a subjective human opinion, and in truth, the origin and purpose of consciousness is not only unknown, but unknowable, and the only proper response to existence is radical humility and the surrender to the mystery. So I could have saved you 25 minutes and just read that. But what the end of the sutra, we go back to the Bodhisattva ideal and the things you need to practice. You need to practice the Brahmaviharas, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. You have to practice the paramitas, generosity, morality, tolerance, effort, consciousness, and wisdom. Wisdom tempered with compassion. Hard wisdom is not what people need. They need it tempered with compassion. As Vimalakirti did, he took into account the life experience of the people he was talking to. He didn't alter the basic truth of the Dharma, but he said it in a way that they could absorb, could accept. And the Bodhisattva vows that you take when full ordination are sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Deluding passions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Dharma gates are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme, and I vow to attain it. So thank you. And if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. or I may just refer you back to the Vimalakirti Sutra. Thank you. All right. Thank you for listening. Vimalakirti, Vimilakirti. All right.
All right. It's if you have any question, you can ask again.
Thank you. Could you spell that one more time?
Okay. Vimilakirti.
Thank you. I thought that was very valuable information today. I appreciate you coming and telling us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's very useful to have something practical that we can apply, and that's what I like about Buddha. Very practical.
Yeah. Let me correct the spelling.
Oh, okay.
Vimalakirti. Vimalakirti.
Okay. So I have Zimalakirti.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to reading more.
Okay. Just realize that your mind just starts spinning. So just keep going. There are a lot of beliefs that are put out, and then Vimalakirti puts a better take on it. So you just keep going. And you've got his 10 disciples. I think there are 10 back and forths on it. So
I think it's important to hear from so many different people, like kind of like from all sides,
right.
to help us with the duality issue here.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kashanti. It is very interesting to hear about Vimalakirti Sutra. So I remember when Karuna was teaching to Vimalakirti Sutra sometime, I think around 1998, 99, around that time. So that's a very interesting Mahayana Sutra. So thank you again. And I hope everybody enjoy your talk. And it's nice to hear something different. Sometimes this Mahayana Sutra or whatever the different sutra is nice to hear. Thanks again. Right now, I think we don't have any question. So we can chant page 4 and page 10. Thank you again, Kashanti, and hope to see you in future. By the way, next Sunday, Ravan Kusala is going to talk, I believe, the April 3rd or whatever day. All right, we're going to chant right now page 4 and page 10. Namo tassa
Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddham
Saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami.
Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Deluding passions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Dhamma grades are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it.
May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and the sick find health relief. May all merit be extended to everyone, that we, together with all beings, may gain Buddha's way. Om Mani Padme.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you again for everybody. We have next Sunday also we have Sunday service. Every Sunday we going to continue the Sunday service. So by the power of all the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, all the Bodhisattvas, you all be well and happy. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.